I think if you're open with your kids from the very beginning and you're truthful with you, you're going to do better as a parent.
Never going to say we're the cheapest. We're not. We're definitely not the cheapest, but we're the best. I know I can say that.
A tempered piece of glass, I can beat through your window in 3 seconds with a little glass sponge. I don't need a hammer, an axe, a bat, anything. But the average home burglary, they're going in, they're going specifically to a sliding glass door or like a French door they know is tempered. The whole idea is slow them down, make it to where they got to be loud.
Our employees had options of what days they'd work, whether it's Tuesday through Sunday or Wednesday through Sunday, or it was give our employees an opportunity to work on a Sunday if they can't work during the week.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with Miller Brothers. Excited to be here with my co-host and my brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today. We have my favorite person in the whole world, our mother, Michelle Miller. I'm not even going to say anything else. Tune in, enjoy the podcast with the woman that started it all, literally. Thank you. I've been pretty decent about trying to keep the kids off of just like having endless amounts of the stuff, but sometimes it's convenient, especially when they're younger. I don't know, especially when I feel like Brooke was younger. So that was, she's 15 now. There wasn't as much of the stigma of like, don't let them just be on there all the time. But it was like super convenient to like be like, here, play with this. And like, okay, she's playing Angry Birds. It's problem solving. It's, she wasn't like endlessly just being able to do anything. But it's nice and convenient when your kid's just chilling for 2 hours. But like now we kind of realize like that's probably not good for them. But at the same time, like if you completely remove it from them, then it's awkward with their peers. Like even phones. When my kids were in like 5th grade, I'm getting hassled to get them a phone because every other kid in class has a phone, and it's like, no. But now everybody else has one and they don't. It's a pain in the ass right now. But it's different problems.
It comes down to setting boundaries and showing them how to use that tool properly. Yeah. It is now, I would say, looked at and considered a huge tool when it comes down to it. Your child's going to be either be using it or going to be on it when they start to get to an age of where they have to be actually a part of society, like going to get jobs and stuff like that. So it's all about how you allow them to use it. The content they're consuming. Like I'm constantly watching whatever Luca is watching because I want to see.
That's a big thing is seeing what they're doing, monitoring them. Mm-hmm. That's a huge thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotta know what they're doing.
But then also without falling into the trap of being like a crazy helicopter parent and like, so it's like there's a balance.
It's a different generation.
Oh, I know. Well, but it's definitely, you got to put some effort into it. But that's always been the case, right? Like you guys put effort into making sure we were playing sports and we were only allowed to stay nights over at certain people. At the time as a kid, you don't realize it. Like you asked to go stay somewhere and like, no, you can't. Then you grow up and you realize, oh, that was probably a household that you guys knew we shouldn't be at.
100%.
So I think just paying attention in general is
Well, that's
universal.
a big thing is paying attention as a parent what your kids are doing.
And then
that's
teaching
huge.
them for sure. I think also like now we're finally at a point where I think most people realize don't just endlessly let your kids use technology without supervising it somewhat and then teach them like, hey, you post something on the internet, it's there forever.
Yep.
So you text even somebody.
I would say anything, typing, sending anything over a phone to somebody can be screenshot and posted, and you've got zero control over it.
Yeah. So, yeah. But we know these things, I think, or at least it feels intuitive, or like just like it. That's the way it should be because I feel like you guys did a great job of actually paying attention to us and not letting us just do whatever the hell we wanted. But we still had some freedom. I remember being like 12 years old and being able to ride my bike through Pittman Wash, like
but again,
5
times
or
have
6
changed
miles
even
to
since
a
you were
friend's
12,
house.
though.
But it's really safer now. People just have the perception that it's not because they're looking at negative stuff all day long because it's easy to see the bad things that are happening. Really, crime and violent crime and all that stuff's down, but people are more afraid of it.
You still have to let your kids know about that.
Yeah, but you still need to give them that freedom. I think that's one thing that technology, we're overcorrecting because we're afraid of them seeing all the crazy stuff we're seeing on our devices. I think that's where we then use them to like almost helicopter parent and monitor them too much sometimes. So it's like there's a push and a pull to it.
Well, that's just having the open conversation. Like I think Luca ventured into actually, because Monster Jam videos, like the ones he wants to watch, are on actual YouTube, not YouTube Kids. So he ventured into YouTube, and like all of a sudden, I noticed that there are cartoons that look like regular kid cartoons, like Bluey and stuff like that, and it is not. 100% isn't. Like we were able to, thankfully, we had conversation with him, and like now, if he ever goes to YouTube, he will come up to me and go, "Can I watch this?" And he'll ask me if he can watch certain videos, and like I'll look at it, I'll see the description, and like Monster Jam, I don't care about that. And lately, he's been really into nature stuff, like just animals, I guess in general, like lions and gazelles.
Can't you
and
take
stuff
those
like that.
certain apps off the iPads or the phones so that they can't?
Yeah, you
You
can
can.
restrict the use and stuff.
You can restrict it, but then
Again, it's work. You gotta do it. Though.
well, no, and then beyond that, though, I would say that almost kind of grows it to where, I mean, I know at an appropriate age, it gets to the point where it's like, all right, I'm going to trust you, and then you monitor it, and then it's like, I don't want to have to like take this off and make it seem like it's this big, scary thing that you were going to want to get to no matter what. It's like, no, this is just, there's certain things on here you can and can't watch. And it's like, well, I'll let you know.
Well, and kids know these days that you can. There are apps inside apps.
Oh, yeah.
To hide things, and that's been
yeah.
around for a long time.
Yeah, they can get around.
They're
stuff.
smart.
I've got
They're getting
teenagers.
smarter.
I've dealt with it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Very
kid-
recently, I've actually had to deal with a very sneaky child.
You're getting into the fun years now, teenage years.
Yeah, see, that's where little girls are amazing. When the girls are amazing when they're little, they're peaceful. Like we were at Randon's little girl second birthday, and we walked in, and both his little girls are sitting there coloring, actually coloring. And like
Boys don't
Brittany
do
looks at
that.
that, and me, I look at that. I'm like, there's no chance that Luca would ever do that. Ever. It's like we'd give him some crowns, and he would be sitting there, all of a sudden smash, and then he's off. He's off to the races. He's outside. He's doing whatever.
Boys versus girls.
Oh,
But
nonstop.
yeah, my little ones, they do pretty good because they get to use it maybe like an hour at night. Sometimes I'm sure they get it a little bit more than that, like tablets and stuff. So they do pretty good with just playing with regular toys. They love the chalk in the backyard, so they ride all over the whole backyard with the chalk. But
I've yet to do that with him. He's starting to get to the point where he's actually wanting to draw and do things more, so he's gotten better at it. But still, at the same time, like every little boy that I've come across, either Michelle's, yours, mine, or any of my friends, they're like
They're boys.
hopped
Boys
up
will be
on
boys.
caffeine and ready to
Yeah,
go.
they're
Like
definitely
they're just ready to go at all times. All the little girls I come across, they're just delicate for the and sitting there and coloring and being gentle until they get to the age of London, and then you either get Brooke or you get London.
yeah, they're both great.
They are good girls.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been fun. I definitely need to get them in the shop more, though. I was actually just thinking about Brooke's going to have her license this summer, so we've got someone
crazy.
who's going to be working after school and weekends, and she's definitely working more.
You don't need to for the car insurance.
Man, good luck with that. Now, one thing he touched on was the sleepovers. I never understood that growing up, how strict you guys were and why you were so damn strict. Like
I mean, you guys can look back now, especially you. Well, maybe more you.
I think I spent
of the friends.
I've slept over, I think, maybe 3 or 4 times, leading up to high school, and then high school was barely any. And I always would be like, you guys had to talk to the parent that was going to be there. That was Dad's rule. As long as you get there, I can talk to the parent that's going to be there. Sure. And it was also, now looking back on it, it was a family that I think you guys already knew of, or you knew the friend, you knew the parents for the most part, and it was a trustworthy situation. And like I understand it now, because now like Luca going to school and just kind of meeting the different parents and stuff like that, it's like, all right, these people are going to have a huge influence on my child when it comes down to it. And from I trust you going over to that house, like, yeah, there were plenty of situations I could have tried to get myself into where, yeah, going over to someone's house that a parent was there and the parent was not there. And I never even asked because I knew that shit wasn't going to fly.
Even parties. So you guys would go to parties and Dad would have to. Well, I know at least for Nichelle.
I went to, I think, one party
He would
in my
go
senior
drop
year.
her off, meet the parent, and who knows what happened afterwards. I don't know, but where you're at, picking you up, call. I think if you're open with your kids from the very beginning and they're truthful with you, you're gonna do better as a parent.
Yeah, just being involved and
Open,
engaged.
involved too, yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think no matter how good you are, their
Well,
peers are going to get more and more influence over them, and
That's the
it's just
scary
kind of
thing.
what it is.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, so
Was that the huge drive for, I wouldn't say pushing us into sports, but making sure that we were a part of sports?
Yep. I think
Was
sports
the,
are
what-
important for
Was the
kids.
community
Yep.
aspect of it?
Yep. And you have, you're dedicated to a team. You're not just sitting at home or you're out hanging out with kids. You're with your team, whatever sport you guys are in baseball.
well, something I've recognized over the years for the business side of things from sports, and I don't know how aware you guys were of it, but now I'm like hyper aware of it. Some of our like longest lasting relationships and customers that we've ever had have come from us playing youth sports.
Yep.
And you guys being involved, you being on the board at Legacy Little League, and Dad being coaching all the time, and like you end up. I mean, I've got really close friends right now from my kids' sports that
And
people
they'll
that I
never be
do
your
let them
friends.
go stay the night at, and their kids come stay the night at our house. That was huge for the business. Maybe I don't know how aware of it you were at the time, but like in the long run, like there's some awesome synergy there with like it's good for your kids, it's social interaction for you,
Good for your
and
business.
owning a business. Like, it definitely worked out.
I mean,
well.
one of our closest friends and I think you guys have talked about before, is the Heffingers.
Yep.
They're our first customers, and they're still our good friends. So
Yeah. I remember tinting their house as, I don't know, it must have been like 10 or 11. So a couple years after we moved out here. But, and then running into them at Little League, like
Yep.
a couple
Dad
months
coaching with
later.
them, yeah.
And now they're one of our biggest customers.
Yep.
I mean, Titanium Construction has us doing work at least monthly.
Yep.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I already have a big project that's starting next week. Just waiting for the times and days where we can work. 'Cause it's down on the strip. So, and like he feeds us whenever he can. He feeds me work.
yeah, so.
Sends me the opportunities, and it's up to me to land the job. So,
So that's something that's stood out to me, and a lot of times I don't have a choice. I go straight from work to like their sports events, so I'm just like still in my company uniform, and it always sparks conversations, even with parents from other teams and stuff. So anybody out there in that scenario where you're running a business and
Yep.
you're struggling, but you've got kids and you want to keep them active and in sports, like it's a huge opportunity to network with more people that are probably going to need your service.
I want to jump into Chris being the first customer. What do you remember about that? Because I didn't know about that until like us like doing this, and then like we were just trying to talking about the history of the company, and then also we're going to have Chris on eventually.
See, that would be Dad, because that's when I was working. When we first moved out here, I was working like 9 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning. I was stocking. I was a key carrier at Vaughn's, working all-nighters, stocking shelves and managing.
Yes,
So
I was too young. I don't remember that.
I would come home and sleep a little bit. You guys would go to school. Well, you were too young to go to school, but they would be in school. I would sleep a little bit, and then our day would start again. So I wasn't as involved with the customers then.
No. That's crazy. I knew we knew Chris for the longest time because he coached me in T-ball. I remember that. I played with Bryce. Like I remember all that. I did not realize that he was our
They're
first
probably the
customer.
ones that got us into Legacy. Them talk, because Dad's a talker. Him
Yeah.
tinting their house.
You don't
I
say.
think it was the car we tinted first, I think. And then it went to their house. I
See,
believe.
Definitely, because the house was definitely after we'd already been out here a couple of years. So
So that was probably the first thing that did them was the car.
Yeah.
And then it rolled into the house and
yeah, 'cause I was definitely older when we went and did their house because I remember it, and then it ended up just kind of being part of the family.
From there, yep.
Yeah.
that was one of the houses I could go stay at.
Right, with
was
Heffingers,
was
yeah.
the Heffingers. That was one of the houses when I was growing up in baseball. That was one of the houses I could go stay at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good people.
Yeah. Word of mouth. How important do you think that was in pretty much the building of our business? You said, I know we all can agree, Dad's a talker. Like you can literally sit Dad next to
Anything.
anyone,
Anything.
anywhere, and he's going to create a conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely probably, I think, one of the best traits that he has. I mean, I'm probably not as forthcoming as he is when it comes down to that.
Because you're a lot like me.
Yeah, I just, it's, well, if I'm at work and I'm talking something that I know about really well, I have no fear of jumping into the conversation. If it's a conversation where I don't know too much. I don't want to step on my own toes. I'll sit back and I won't join the conversation. And it just depends on set and setting. For Dad, it doesn't matter. It always feels like it doesn't matter where he's at. He's sparking a conversation with everybody.
It doesn't matter where he's at.
But
Playing a baseball game, football game.
how big was that for when our business first started?
When it first started, again, my memory is horrible when we first started. I was so young.
Okay, hold on. How about this then? How much involvement were you in California?
I was involved because, I worked at Farmers to start when Dad first started, but I still did all the books.
So you've always been that background person?
Always the background person. I didn't, until we moved out here, and I ended up
What was it
taking on
like
Asheville.
doing books pre-computers?
It was paper. Everything
yeah.
was paper. You kept files after files. Like,
Because I remember,
I mean, we're
we
still
got our
probably
first
shredding
computer
stuff.
out here. I remember when we got like Gateway computers. Like, it's like, oh, we got a computer.
but you still had paperwork. I mean, it's
Yeah.
until probably, I don't
Probably
know.
a lot more.
I don't know how long it's been since we've actually got away from like paper warranties. Like we held on to those forever until
2020?
Yeah,
2021, right in there. That's right. We're in just before 20. Yeah, Solar Guard was already making the shift. I think a couple years prior, they were putting out the system and they were trying to get everyone to use it. And tinters are stubborn across the board.
Well,
The
that's
whole
for
the whole the whole industry is stupidly stubborn. I mean, myself included. And we stuck with paper, even though that was out there, and the manufacturers kept trying to incentivize any way possible. And then eventually it gets to the point where they're like this is the way you have to do it.
it's also something new. When something new is happening, change is hard sometimes, especially for our generation.
I think it got rid of it. It makes it to where everything is absolutely recorded, exactly how everything is done, and it gets rid of some maybe leeway you probably gave some customers.
Well, yeah.
I mean, when it does
Paper
come down to it,
trail
I
was
got
good.
no problem saying that. I think
Well, yeah, and then
all the
it's-
manufacturers understood that too, but at the same time, being able to have everything in the computer, it's actually quite nice now because we'll have customers come back that we have the same exit every time when we cash a customer out, even when from when you were there. Like it's always been kind of around the same thing, you know.
Right.
Here's your balance. Here's your warranty. You have to have this if anything goes wrong.
Yep.
Put it in your glove compartment
That's a big
box.
thing.
Usually the best spot to put it because you're literally going to set this down and never think about it again. But when you have to have that to do a warranty. Still have customers that come in like, well, you guys did it. Like, do you have your warranty? Ooh, I don't know where that's at. Do you have the invoice? Ooh, and it's like, I have to have one of those things. So I got to be able to actually send this into the manufacturer because the manufacturer is the company that pays me to do the work. Now, 10 times out of 10, we make sure we always take care of our customers. You guys, that's one thing you've instilled in us, like you and Dad both, was that you take care of your customers. Customer service, word of mouth, that keeps the doors open,
It's
keeps
important.
the bills paid. So it's quite convenient now, though, when everything's already registered online because they're like, warranty, it's like, we've already registered it. You're good to go.
Yeah.
We send it in, we have them sign, we have them do everything they need to do to when they leave with their keys is with the
And it's always
manufacturer.
there. It's like
yeah.
always there.
Well, like even switching to Tint Wiz and doing everything digital, doing bids. Dad did paper bids for I don't even know how long.
Forever. Probably up until his stroke.
No, he was doing.
Well, I think he just
yeah.
started.
We
We
had
were
another
using
program
another
for that,
software
yeah.
for a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
but
that's right.
We weren't really using that to its potential either because he was still kind of doing it his way. But
Yeah, that was the downfall to that software. That software, you had to commit to doing it their way.
Yeah.
It was the way they operated their business. That's how they designed the program, which made sense. Like, if
Yeah.
you're going to spend all this money on a program, you want it to work for your company. And I think that's where Eric was doing the same thing with TintWiz. And then, like, he noticed that the he noticed that the power of everything was in this software. And then he's like, all right, how can I make this software to where it can mold two people's companies? Like, still be, like, there's still certain ways to do things in the program, but you can still do so many different things and how you want to operate your business between the coloring of the appointments, how you use the tasks, how you do your proposals. The proposals are so customizable. Like, I think from even when we have our setup now to seeing how some other people have their setup, it's like, you can do a lot with the program, unlike the previous program was like, this is how you do it.
Right.
And Dad was like, no, this is how I do it. And
Stubborn.
then,
but we don't.
And
have
our
to go-
generation, too. Change.
yep.
I did the math recently, just like in the last 3 or 4 years since we've been using it, we've printed like 80,000 less sheets of paper.
Oh, I'm
because
sure.
we used to print out every customer's invoice in QuickBooks.
I mean, we had boxes
2
and
copies
boxes.
of it, one for them, one for us.
One for the installer.
Warranty, yeah, like it's like we've literally cut out. How much ink have we not had to purchase? It's kind of crazy.
Ink
So.
and paper.
Paper is like a customer changes the order. You have to then shred it, print out the new order, make sure the installers get the correct order instead of it just always being in Tint with refresh the page. You need to add something to the job, add it, task the appropriate person to put that on. And as soon as that gets approved, and then that gets tasked over to Amber. Amber then invoices it and sends it to the customer. It's instead of all that paperwork in between.
I wonder if there's still shops out there that still.
Oh yeah, most.
Yeah.
I think almost everybody we bid against, for the most part, when it's like a residential commercial bid,
Paper?
yeah, most people are still handing
wow.
people paper.
Majority of people I bid
Yeah.
against is all paper.
Yeah, and it's typically ends up being
That's
one of the
crazy.
factors why they decided to go with us. They're getting a digital proposal that they can approve on their phone or on their computer. It's got pictures of what the film's going to look like before and afterwards, the spec sheet attached to it, like all of that stuff compared to somebody writing down some numbers on a piece of paper. It's like, well, this
That
is
paper getting lost
this
too. and
is
then,
so much more professional. Like, okay, these guys know what they're doing. So,
Oh no, I've numerous bids that I've given the past year where I've gotten like they've called back, had some questions. I said, no, we're going with you. You guys aren't the cheapest, but I like what how you guys have presented yourself to us, how you operate your business. I want to use you guys, and it's like awesome. Like that's I don't ever want to be out there like we're never going to say we're the cheapest. We're not. We're definitely not the cheapest, but we're the best. I know I can say that. I can say that with extreme confidence that we're the best. We provide the best customer service we possibly can. If anything ever does go wrong, we make sure we go out of our way to make sure it gets corrected
Right.
and rectified as best we possibly can. So it's just one of those things where I don't want to be the cheapest. I want to be the best. I want to be able to present the smoothest way to get from point A to B. What you asking of us to getting that job done and making sure that you're informed along the way the entire time from start to finish. I mean, I definitely think that it's changed dramatically over the past couple of years for us.
yeah, the backbone of that is you guys. Like over the years, that was always the focus, and I think going through that long-term struggle and that base that we have, it's kind of crazy now. Like we've got like 1,700 reviews on Google. I don't think anybody else in town's even close. But that's been the focus from the jump. Dad has always been focused on quality, and then he had you right there behind him helping hold everything together. When did you make the switch from having a second job, and like how many years did that take?
So, I don't remember the year, but when we moved out here, see, I worked at Vaughn's, and then I stopped for a little bit, and then I went to work for Albertsons. And then I had back surgery, and I was taking care of Ash and Jordan. And that's when I stopped working at the grocery store and went straight into the shop. And I brought them, I raised them at the shop too.
Yeah, there's actually, I
2-year-old and
just saw some
6-year-old.
pictures of them recently.
Well, now Jordan is one of our auto installers. He came back into the fold. I know that's something growing up. He always came out here in the summer when he could, and then that was one thing he's always been very open about. He's wanted to work for the company, which has always been welcoming. I mean, I love the fact when I have someone who wants to come to the company that I know I can wholeheartedly trust. Like it's.
So one of the reasons I worked too, though, was for the health insurance. Because, private insurance, we never even thought about. So I worked all the time to cover insurance for all of us. That was one of the main reasons. Then we decided we're just going to get private insurance after I quit Albertsons.
Yeah, sometimes I gotta
Stuck with it.
step back and like see the business how it is now, and everybody gets insurance, 401k match, like all this stuff that we have now. Did you ever think we'd get to that point?
Never.
Like it's kind of crazy.
Actually, we
Like,
probably were against it a little bit at
and
first.
then even like how long you were in the shop, running the front, doing everything. Like
I know when I hear people,
now it feels like it hasn't. I don't know. You haven't been in there for a minute, and
been a
I kind
while.
of almost
4
forget how
years.
long you were in there running the front of the shop. Like,
sometimes I ran the back too. I remember there was a time when I was just talking to, I think, Nichelle about this, how I answered the phone, booked the appointments, checked the customers in, went in the back, cut the patterns, pulled the cars around, then went back to my desk, put the invoice in, checked the customers out. I did all that by myself. But I wanted to be efficient. Like I wanted to make sure it got done. So I
Yeah. Oh no.
I did all that.
No, I remember those days. I remember when I used to be able to do all those things, and now we just.
Well, we're way busier too. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
I'd
whole
still
different
talk
scale.
a 7 to 8 car day. I would do that.
Yeah.
Saturdays were usually more, but yeah,
No, it definitely has.
Do you miss it?
nope. I don't.
That I can
I
understand.
mean, sometimes I miss probably the socialization. People coming in, and even people we've known through sports or whatever.
Yeah, it's always fun. It actually, it's
Still
kind of
get
crazy
that
how often it
constant-
happens.
Well, I know you do because I'll have
Yeah,
phone
if
calls.
I'm at the shop and I walk up in the front, there's a good likelihood I'm going to get stopped and talk to someone. 'Cause,
Right.
You know,
Or I get phone calls once in a while. Do you know this person? Because they say they know you from.
that
The name
happens
sounds familiar, but I have to
constantly.
look at their face. So
No, that's at least once a week, at minimum once a week. It's someone. It's where they mention a name, and it's hard for me to remember some names. Or actually, there's a lot of names I don't remember just because I was too young. But then I'll hear Legacy Little League, and I'm like, yeah, they're probably
they could probably say any little league too. Because think
Yeah,
about
we-
Green Valley.
yeah. Oh, and then that scope
Henderson.
that goes out even further, even the high schools too, because
Oh, yeah.
into the high schools we started doing banners and stuff for certain coaches, and that put our name around the families and stuff like that. So no, that happens constantly. And the funny ones are funny ones are for me when they talk and they act like, oh, I just talked to Richard, and it's like any time within the past 3 years. I'm like just tell me that you knew us. I'm gonna get you taken care of
Yeah,
no matter
you haven't
what.
talked
Like
to him.
he hasn't been in here for a couple years. I'm
Oh, he
sorry
does
to
get
say.
random phone calls sometimes.
Oh no! Oh, I get him
And he'll-
forwarded to me. Don't worry.
He makes sure he sends you the phone number off.
He does. He sends it. He'll call and he'll tell me that so and so called. Take care of him. of
Oh, he's had
course.
the same phone number since I was a sophomore. Because we all got our phone numbers at the
Yep.
same time as business lines, through, like singular. I've had the same phone number since my sophomore year.
You
of
guys
high
messed
school.
up not
No,
getting.
it was Nextel.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Nextel.
Yeah.
And then
They
Singular,
had the chirp thing.
and then
I know
AT and T, and then it's been all sorts of things. Now that's where you guys messed up, not getting me in the show phone numbers at the same. I know.
No, we
we're-
tried. No, we tried. We could only get 28, 29, and 30. And then you guys have 02 and 03
Yeah.
because we couldn't
Well,
get
she
them.
don't. She doesn't use hers anymore. She got a different one now. I don't even know her number anymore.
I do.
I
But
just
yeah, I think you
I
can
click
still
her
call the
name.
old
I
number.
Yes, so do
I barely know my
I've
wife's
tried that.
phone number.
Doesn't work. I think she said she's 4. I remember like 4 or 5 numbers. I used to remember a lot of numbers. Very few numbers I remember.
I remember our old landline for our house.
You do?
I remember Kyle
Yeah.
Watson's parents' phone number because it's the same landline number it's always been. Like, there's only a couple. Your guys' numbers, obviously. But there's not too many other numbers I've
No,
memorized.
because you just go to your phone and
Yeah.
hit the person's name. And
The only reason I kind of know Nikki's now is because I have to type it in for stuff sometimes, is like confirmations. But yeah, and that's even sometimes a struggle. I think I know it.
Oh,
I don't know any of
well, I got lucky.
the phone numbers.
I know.
Times have changed.
Well, since I met Brittany in high school, I think we had phones then, but at the same time, it was if my phone was dead or I was someone, you need to remember her number. So I
Is
remember
her number
her-
the same? Oh, I don't even know her number.
It is. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be hilarious though. Everyone text my wife. She'd kill me. Well, the one thing that really grabbed a hold of people and with the podcast with Dad was this story about Hulk Hogan. Is there any stories that you have from the years of working at Green Valley, either being at the shop, because obviously not being at any homes, because you have any on the flat glass, but is there anyone in particular that came into the shop that you're like, oh, do you have any of those
And not
experiences?
necessarily even
really.
celebrities. Anything that crazy happened, or like crazy customers or
I
anything.
mean, there's always crazy customers. I mean, you get the crazy
I
ones
mean,
that
like
you're
a
like,
fight in the lobby way or something
we
that
had
really
that-
stood out.
Oh, we've had plenty of those, unfortunately. That just happens. I think that
I don't remember any in particular.
I think
I mean,
percent.
you're going to get a crazy customer at least once a month, sometimes once a week, but that are really,
Well,
I don't remember.
well, that's something I say. Not necessarily that we're experiencing now because I love all of our customers. It's when you start increasing your volume, it's just
Oh, yeah.
nature that things that can go wrong will go wrong, and there's nothing.
See, that's the part I don't miss. I don't miss the one crazy customer you get, and then because I'm a stressor. I don't like to deal with confrontation. I just don't. I don't like confrontation. I don't.
Uh-huh.
So I'd always go get someone in the back, or I'd call Dad, or
Why'd you look at me?
Because because that's
don't
where
know.
you take after
Oh,
money.
yeah, I definitely
That's
am
where
not
you-
trying to
that's
get in
where you
any
take
kind
a-
of
'Cause
conversation.
if you don't think
Well,
about
no,
it,
just even having the hard conversation when it comes down to, it's not even with anyone in particular in the company.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to unfortunate situation, like what we just had, I think it was technically it's like 3 weeks ago. We had a good customer of ours, thankfully. Thank God, it's someone I know. Darren at Orange Carpet Cleaning, local small business. We wrap all their vehicles. I tint all of his personal vehicles. I know he does obviously his carpet cleaning and he does cleanup in general. They have a bunch of big accounts with different builders and stuff. His wife and other business partner, they could run the business together, dropped off her Lexus. We tinted her Lexus, brand new RX 500 hybrid F Sport, beautiful car. Put paint protection, clear broad, the whole front end, tinted it. Ended up dying on us. I think someone left the door open, unfortunately, just like one of those simple protocols that I just unfortunately in the hecticness of just working on cars all day, forget to do one thing, car died. Go to jump it and like literally go online. I'm the one who did it because I told no one, like, hey guys, I'll take care of it just because it's a brand new vehicle and hybrids. I know hybrids can be very finicky when it comes to jumping them. I go online, find out where the port is, where they want to jump to, everywhere they need to connect to, get it jumped, it turns on, nothing else will turn on in the vehicle, just the engine. So unfortunately, now I have to call a customer and tell them, hey, your car that's got 36 miles on it, A, it's dead, and B, I went to jump it and I can't get it on, I can't get it out of my shop. I know these people personally. I know they're going to be technically cool about it as much as you can be about your brand new car. I don't want to make that phone call, but I know I have to. Like that is probably the one part of this job that I probably dislike the most is having to
But
make
you've
the.
definitely gotten way better at it. I can
Yeah,
tell you
but
that, 'cause you
we
have
always,
to.
99% of the time, people are super cool. We take
Oh,
care of it.
it's-
It doesn't end up being a problem. So it's,
Yes,
I don't think it's
but
a
there's
customer.
still a
I think
little
it's
stress.
yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's still stressful. I get it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's just one of those things that like I got lucky as a customer that we know real well, and they were super cool. Like Jamie was amazing. She called me the next day and said, "Hey, don't worry about it. We understand. It's a small business. Dude, shit happens. You know,
But for
what
a
are you
brand
gonna?"
new car, for it to die at the door being open, that doesn't seem right?
I'm in zero.
just saying.
I know. Believe me, it's they tested
Especially
it.
Lexus.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
those companies are companies also. They're dealing with issues too, right? They're not putting out 100% perfect stuff.
Well,
all the time.
yeah, here's what it is. They diagnosed it, and a fuse got blown on it, and they're saying improper charge. So they're laying the blame at my feet, which whatever. It is what it is. You know, I did exactly what was supposed to be done when it came down to it, and if something ended up obviously it happened on our watch, so it's being taken care of. Like thankfully, Lexus is being cool as hell in the fact that they gave him a loaner vehicle. She's been a loaner vehicle this whole time because they don't have the part for their brand new vehicle because it's on back order because they haven't made them yet. Now that to me is crazy. The fact that you're going to have to sell a vehicle. Oh yeah.
Can't you take it out of another new car?
I'm
Well,
assuming
Tesla
they.
customers have just as bad of problems. Like something's wrong with it that they're the only ones that can fix it. So a Tesla has an issue, and sometimes you're without your car for 2 months. So
They've gotten better though. I'll
Yeah.
give them that. They've gotten. I think that's been one thing they've gotten a lot better on. But it's, it's what it is. You know, thankfully, like I said, I got a real cool customer, and the times that we've had that over the past like year or so, almost every time it thankfully falls upon a customer that either already had really good rapport with, or they understand. Like, hey, it happens when you increase your volume. You're gonna have a percentage of things that are gonna go wrong no matter what. You can try to plan around them as much as possible. Try to fail-proof or everything. Doesn't matter. Things are going to go wrong.
I think that'd be a hard part for Dad now if he still is in the business. Is
Oh, you'd be tearing his
that?
hair out.
Yeah. When something goes wrong, like it would not be good.
Well,
But he has to understand we're higher volume now, and it's going to happen more.
that's a big.
Not that I want it to happen.
No, yeah, but it's just statistically, it's going to happen. You increase your volume, you could still have the same percentage if things go wrong. Have that dialed in so perfectly where only the smallest things go wrong, smallest percentage. Increase the volume. That small percentage is going to increase that number no matter what. And like that's the conversation me and Nichelle had. Like after after this vehicle, you know, and she's like, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "We're going to take care of it." And she made the comment to me, "I feel like this never happened with Dad." I'm like, "Okay, hold on, pump your brakes. How much more volume are we doing right now?" You got to look at it that
I mean,
way.
it did happen, but and then
Yeah,
I remember
definitely did.
there's one
There was
customer I do
always
remember. He had I want to say it was like a 1982 convertible Porsche, and you might remember this, where the back of it had like a shade, but it was we went to tin it and it crumbled, but it literally was probably 30 years old, and it wasn't our fault. And the guy wanted the original part, so we had to go online. We ended up taking care of it, but it literally was not our fault. Like, it was 30-year-old that's been in the sun, and as soon as one of the tinners put, I think, water to it,
Dry
it just
rot.
crumbled. Yeah,
Oh,
dry rot.
Dry rot. Yeah, that happens with older, like 90s Toyota sedans. Corollas, they have a grid on them. And we've encountered it, but now we know it gets pointed out, pictures get taken, the customer
Well,
gets
that's the
called.
difference.
So we've learned
now.
from it. So that's
Yep.
that's all the years of experience help out now. We know to identify stuff like that. Set the expectation with the customer. Hey, look, you see this is all sun damaged. Like,
pictures
there's a
are
possibility
important.
if we just touch it, it's going to crumble. Like, we need to make sure they're aware of it ahead of time.
Right, and if they know ahead of time, but it's all the times that we didn't know to do that.
Oh, yeah. No,
That's-
that's my biggest thing that I have, all the conversations I have with the guys in the back, especially because we have a lot of young guys, is if something happens and it's truly it's a first-time mistake, I'm never going to be mad. We're always going to take care of it. Now, after we've done something like that and you do the same thing again and you blatantly just do the same stupid thing again, I have a problem with that. Now you have skin in the game. Now you're paying for half. Sorry.
Right.
And they all understood that. And at the same time, when something, because I think with every installer we have now, they've all have had an unfortunate incident that has been semi-costly, to where like they like, and that's my first thing is when something like that happens, I go straight to them and say, don't worry about it, don't stress, shit happens. Like, I've broken, I think I had a run of about a year and a half. I broke like 5 windshields, all Fords, all with the mirrors that have to be pried off, and I can be a little bit more. I can go after those mirrors a little bit more aggressively, just because. You know what I mean? It sounds horrible. I'm one of the owner's sons. Like, I'm gonna get yelled at, but I'm gonna get yelled at in a different way, different manner, and I know what I can kind of
Get away with?
to a point. I still had to pay for all that, but at the
Well,
same
and
time, I know how much time it's saving me and how much better the product's going to be. Like, I took the risk. I'm more ought to take that risk, though, than the other guys are, and I've never kind of asked them to. I was always kind of the go-to guy to take those mirrors off, because if it broke, then it's on me, which I had zero problem with. But now with the things that kind of happen now, like with all electronics, like I would love to be just an installer right now, because I would love just to show up to work, tint windows, go home, not think of anything else. I do think about that every once in a while, but I still do enjoy the other aspects of the company that we do. But with as an installer, with how many electronics are in vehicles now,
Yeah, it's crazy now.
I remember not having to cover anything in a car. I never. I would just tint a windshield. I would just tint the cars, and like we had like the only car that we had to worry about in the early 2000s was a 7 Series BMW.
BMW, I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, they have a $15,000.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah, they have a $15,000 computer in the back. God knows how much water it costs.
And luckily,
now.
we never broke one.
No.
Because SolarGuard put out the
was gonna
warning
say
on
that too.
computer cut.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was.
I was going to ask, that's my question. I was going to ask, do they still do that?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
There's tons of vehicles like in the windshields of Rams, if I'm not mistaken. Certain years of Rams, there's a wire harness to where if you try to paddle down in there too hard, you rip the wire harness. Now you just cost yourself, I think, $2 to $3 grand, if I'm not mistaken. So they definitely put the warnings in there, but with all the precautions you have to take now, like, I'm still not going to fault my guys, but they have to actually do all the precautions that we set in place. Like windshields now, you put a soak rope at the bottom of the windshield to catch the water. You cover the dash we ordered tons of like 3x5 microfiber dash covers. We cover the dash, we cover the console. Everything in the vehicles now are super delicate in my mind compared to what they used to be. You used to be able to soak things and you wipe it off and it's good. If you leave water on certain fabrics too long, it just stains the fabric. Guess what you're buying? A door panel. Like that's one thing like I hammer home now on the guys is like spray, wipe. Like it's an extra 2 seconds. And that 2 seconds is going to save you thousands of dollars. Because if you let the wrong door panel sit with water on there and it's something that we've already told you don't do it and you do it, guess who's paying for it?
Fault.
You
I
are.
can think of a few tinners, old tinners, that would not make it now because of that. Speedy tinners who just want to soak everything and
You
I'm not
wonder
gonna
if
mention no names.
Well, you wonder if anything, hopefully they've evolved with the times. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons I guess we're doing this is to kind of talk about our upbringing. And I mean, we have a certain oversight on the industry because we grew up in the early ages of the industry, and now we're in the new age of the industry and how it's completely changed. Like I remember it being really like a cutthroat in the industry.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah, everybody holding their secrets and not sharing everything. So
Manufacturers
YouTube
too.
and social media now, everybody's kind of sharing everything.
Well,
And so the industry's matured.
Well, extremely. Like even the manufacturers. I remember like you sold one product.
Yeah.
If you sold off of that brand, like that brand would get rid of you. It would instantly get rid of you. And then it got to the point the economy fell out, and then it was just pretty much, thank you for buying from us. We don't care what you do. And now it's kind of gotten back to, again, it's starting to get back to where the brands, they don't demand loyalty, but they value it. And they will back you even more if they see that you are valuing their brand more and you actually want to get in a partnership with them and help grow the industry and grow their brand, then they're actually stepping behind you. But they're not going to step on your toes and go, well, I don't want you to sell this over here. They're like, well, we don't make that. We don't care that you sell that. Like, go for it. Like, we're not going to stop you from making money. Like, that wasn't the case when we grew up. At least my perspective, it wasn't the case. Because I just kind of remember how everyone was very one-branded. You did one thing. Like, if you were 3M, you were 3M.
I don't know when that changed, too.
It's been over the last decade
08,
or so.
09.
I think social media has really changed the game.
Where that changed for me, where that went away instantly was 08, 09, when the economy fell out. Like
Really?
that's when we, at the time, we were Solar Guard. We we picked up American Standard window films at the time for a little bit. We had our little stint with them. We went back to fully Solar Guard, but at the time we went to them because they were still a lifetime warranty product. They were locally made. We ended up making a good friend with a rep that was in our territory. Got to know him real well. And that's where I think it starts with the brands is you get to know your rep, you get to know the company a little bit. And at the time we got to know him, we liked him a lot. And then we were buying the product at a cheaper price. Like,
But we still sold Solar Guard, though. We never
No.
shied off them ever.
we definitely did, but at the same time, we were able to, at that time, it was looked at as like, I have to save the money here because that's like,
Right.
I need to keep the business open. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, half the shops in town went out of business in that
Yeah.
time frame. So
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I think the brands understood then, like Solar Guard didn't say anything to us because they were just happy we were still buying from them.
True.
You're still in business. Do what you have to do to stay in business. And that kind of was like that. And I think 2015, 2016, that's when all of a sudden, like, it was kind of getting back to we're going to reward the company that is going to promote just us. And then programs started popping up like Pro Series shops, and that's from 3M. And now with Solar Guard, Solar Guard has a Solar Guard Select shop, which we are now going to be. We were a Pro shop, and now we're switching to be a Select shop. And that has nothing necessarily to do with the product. 3M still has a great product. Solar Guard's got an amazing product, but like Solar Guard's really stepping behind us, and they're going to help us. They want to redo our entire store. We're doing a flat glass tint academy. They want to invest into us to be partners with us in the flat glass tint academy, and not to say like only Solar Guard people can come through here. It's no, we want to grow the industry.
Right.
And-
So anyone can come.
Exactly. If we expand the industry across the board, that expands the business for everybody. And like that was the huge drive for us to push for that is like how much they're willing to commit to us is like, all right, sounds good, let's do it. And like not step on our toes and like, oh, you can't do this, can't do that. It's like, no, we just want to partner with someone who's going to want to grow and want to grow the industry. I'm like, sounds awesome.
yeah, I mean, for me, I think the real big opportunity, and I think they see it too, is there's a huge section of the industry that's still focused on exclusively automotive, and the ability to grow everybody's ability to increase customer awareness on residential commercial, and train auto installers how to go out and sell a residential job and identify the right windows and the handful of techniques that you need to know to do that successfully and profitably. All of a sudden now that benefits them too, right? It benefits all the manufacturers if more installers
Right, more
are going
tools.
after residential commercial, making video content that they're then putting out on Meta or YouTube or wherever, that's then making the end consumer aware that those products are available. I still end up on jobs weekly, or the guys do. I'm not on as many nowadays, but when I am on a job, it's pretty frequent. If they're not a repeat customer, they're like, dang, I wish I would have done this years ago. I didn't even know this was an
People don't
option. People just don't know. So the more shops out there that are advertising it, promoting it, making video content, you're just growing the pie. We're not in competition with the shop down the road. We're in competition with educating the end consumer that you can tint your home. It doesn't have to be dark. You don't have to block out a whole bunch of light. If you want some privacy during the day, we've got film that can do that and save you some energy and help reduce your power bill. But we also have clear film that you get to maintain your view of the city. You get to block out a bunch of heat, save your energy bill, block out the UV, like all of these things most people still don't know about. It's weird for me knowing that I've known about it my whole life pretty much, and like you run into somebody like, dang, I didn't even know that was a thing, and it's like, how is that possible? But most tint shops don't promote it. They're mainly focused on cars. There's good money to be made tinting cars, but there's a whole lot of glass out there in homes and buildings and places like Vegas, Phoenix, Texas, anywhere where it's hot. Like, you're going to save some money on your energy bill, and you're going to get that money back that you spend on tinting your windows in a couple of years if you're going to stay in your home for a while.
Or even educating people on security film.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, which has also been around forever. And
But I think 2008 is when that really, I mean, it's been around forever, but I think 2008 when the economy went down and there was more break-ins, that's when security film really.
And social media, I think, has actually even increased awareness of break-ins. People having Ring doorbells and doing Nextdoor app, and when there is a break-in 6 streets down from your house, those aren't people you know. You might not have known about that in the past. Now you hear about it and you're like, oh, that was like right around the corner. Uh-oh, I better do something.
Oh, absolutely. And the big thing with that too is now, because it wasn't such in high demand, there was only certain companies that were installing it, because installing safety film obviously is technically harder when it comes to installer's perspective. So it's not something you would push, but now it's pushed so hard. Now it's our job to make sure that people understand the limitations of what security film can do for you, because there are plenty of companies, unfortunately, that are out there that are like, oh, it's bulletproof. And it's like, no, the hell it's not.
I just went on a bid like a week ago where they're saying the other company that came out and gave them a proposal was telling them that they had 2 options, and one of them was foolproof, no one's ever going to get in. And I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't exist. Like I would love to tell you that exists. And it's just they're just trying to upgrade them up to like a 12 or a 14 mil, which they don't really even need for stopping somebody from coming through the window for burglary. It's more for like blast mitigation. But people just think thicker, better. Okay, cool. I'll pay the extra money for that. And then they're just hoping that the person never actually has an issue. Because I don't care what security film you put on a window, I can eventually get through it. The whole idea is slow them down, make it to where they got to be loud. A tempered piece of glass, I can be through your window in 3 seconds with a little glass sponge. I don't need a hammer, an axe, a bat, anything. So the average home burglary, they're going in, they're going specifically to a sliding glass door or like a French door that they know is tempered. They hit it, they're in 3 seconds, they made no sound. So it's not even like they're coming with a bat or something. Now, if they did come with a bat, 2, 3, 5 minutes of smashing as hard as they can, making a ton of noise, they're eventually going to get through some security film. But they're not even coming prepared to do that. And they try to break a window with security film on it, and we've seen video footage of it over and over and over again now. They break it, it's still sitting there. They maybe grab a rock or something out of the yard, try to smash it 3 or 4 times, realize it's not going anywhere, and they leave. Because they know there's 50 other houses in that neighborhood that don't have security film.
True.
Well, no, I think the option that company is probably presenting is those metal screens. They have, I don't know what they're called.
The guy was saying it was film, though. I was like, well,
film-wise, that's it's unfortunate if someone's saying that, because even if it's the metal screens, there is no foolproof way of stopping someone getting in your home when it comes down to it. If someone really wants to get into your home, they're gonna get into your home.
Yeah, they'll take a saw and cut through a wall.
Give me a sledgehammer. Your house is made out of drywall and stucco. Give me a sledgehammer. Give me 10 minutes. I'll have a hole somewhere getting in.
Cameras and I have an alarm.
Well, that's why the biggest thing is security film is just an added deterrent. Yes. And it's the invisible shield that startles the person trying to break in, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to startle them in the fact of like, I'm not in instantly, so I'm going to leave. Or they're going to keep bashing the window, so if you have means of protecting yourself, you're able to get yourself ready
or
and protect yourself.
Or if it's a business, most businesses have alarms, so your alarm's going to get set off, and then they're going to run. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The majority of the smash and grabs happen out there right now are people that are in a bad spot. drug addicts, whatever. They're trying to get in and out quick, something. They're just opportunists. And as soon as you make it more difficult, they're going to go away. Like, that's what we're seeing over and over again. Again, it's not 100% foolproof, going to stop somebody from completely getting out. But the vast majority of the scenarios that are happening nowadays, I mean, we've had in the last 5-6 years, 5, 6, 10 customers that have had attempted break-ins where we've had to go back and install film on the new window that got put in. And not one time has anybody gained entry. They quit. They go away. So it works for the scenario we're installing it for, but it is not foolproof. And if you're selling it that way, you're doing the whole industry a disservice.
Yep.
Because somebody's eventually going to get through one of those windows you're telling them is foolproof, and that person's now going to become an advocate for telling everybody they know that security film's a scam, which it's not. It definitely works. We need to do a live demo. We need to do a live demo at the shop.
I have 2 windows in my garage.
I know.
Let's do that at your house. I'll
we
break
need
into
to
your
do it.
windows.
We need to do a live demo. We haven't done one yet. We need to do one. Because
Get on top of
actually let people try to break through it, because I've done it before. I did it for a middle school science project.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was with $4 million a BB gun.
It still was pretty impressive.
Cracked a window. Well, I don't think I ever thought, or we ever thought, that safety film would get to the point where it's at right now.
Yeah, I mean, we were mainly only installing it on like commercial buildings, government buildings and stuff, especially after 9/11. That was like the main focus.
Well, then also too, next to pools, you used to be able to, if you
Yep.
didn't have tempered windows next to your
Forgot about
pool, you put security film on the outside, and the city allowed it. They don't anymore, unfortunately. But
Oh, they don't? I
no,
didn't know.
I got a quote. I was getting quotes for a pool for our house, and where we were going to do it, the window wasn't tempered, and I think Wes is the one who actually looked into this. He's like, I can ask, and he asked, and he's like, no, they're not going to. At least Henderson.
They make you change your window out.
You got it. If you want to put a 3 foot, if you want 3 foot, it has to be tempered glass. Otherwise, it has to be 5 feet away from the building itself.
For safety concerns, because if
Right.
you fall through paneled glass, you could get cut in half.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, you're
it
done
makes
for.
sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But no, I used to be. That was like the only reason I was ever installing security film when I was just out of high school. So like 07, 08, 09. That was the only thing I was ever installing security film for. It wasn't a big ticket item. Like we started doing more and more. And then I think mid 2000, like 2015 is when it really started getting crazy. And then even like pandemic was obviously, that's all we were doing for the first 3 or 4 months of the pandemic was security film on everything. Just because everybody was scared shitless, which understandable. So
I've got a question for you, because it's been blowing my mind every time we have like a company event now. We go to like a Knights game or something. We've got this huge crowd of people when you include spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, children, all of that. Did you ever envision the shop getting this big, and like from the struggle that you guys had of it just being like a handful of people, mainly you and Dad, putting in crazy hours, to where now it's like the shop is providing for 30, 40 people.
And that's scary sometimes.
Like livelihood, food, everything. It really hits me when we have those big get-togethers. I kind of just sit back and go like, wow, this is crazy.
No, I always thought would be small. I know that at one point it might have been you or you. I know Dad wanted to open another shop, and I'm like, no, let's keep it small. I mean, now obviously we're bigger, but I never thought we'd be as big as we are.
I'm totally about just having one shop. Which I could be being biased because that's the mindset that was kind of instilled in us growing up. The whole keep it small, keep it all thing. But obviously we expanded on that. But I just don't see a reason in our city to have a second shop. I mean, I understand the convenience part of it, but like I'm not trying to be that. Like, yes, I'm trying to be that convenience shop as much as possible, but at the same time, I want to handle. I guess our shop's big enough now. We handle 3 or 4 cars at a time. But at the same time, like I want to provide the best possible service. And I just don't think having multiple shops, I don't know. I guess from my perspective, it's just hard. It'd be much more harder to manage the quality output, I guess.
Yeah, Vegas is weird because of the size, especially because I think we do, half the business is residential commercial, so we don't need a second location for that. And then automotive, I definitely think there would be value in having a second location because there are people that just don't want to travel far.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's a benefit to us that we've got the reputation and the brand that we've got, that people are willing to live anywhere in this valley and come
drive
get
to
their
us.
car.
Yep.
And then honestly, that's kind of comes down to that's good. Like, I don't want the person that's price shopping. You know, if someone calls and they're price shopping and trying to get us to match someone else's price, it's like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
You can go to the other place that's cheaper. That's not the service we're providing. That's not the value we're providing. And fortunately, we've got a strong enough brand and reputation that people are willing to spend more to come get it done correctly with us because of that.
Right.
But, you know, to each their own. You can go ahead and do that and try to play the volume game and not focus on that. And it might, you know, that's also probably a successful business strategy. Have at it. I don't know. But part of me does think sometimes maybe we should look into it and entertain it because I do feel like, especially like Google searches and map searching, it probably does restrict the volume. I think we could do a lot more volume with automotive, but it's like,
Good.
You
yeah.
said managing another whole store and
No, you just have to have a good person to run it.
I lean towards I'd rather blow up the other side of the business.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely where I lean too. I just say we always kind of leave that off the table, and it's like maybe eventually.
I mean, never say never, I
guess,
guess, but never in the near future.
I think the really cool thing would be to have like these new detail spots that are standing up. That's like a full car wash. I actually just saw one in Texas this weekend that was next to a gas station, really awesome car wash setup, and they had 7 open bays and clear bra, tint, ceramic coating, and every bay was full of cars Sunday. It was like, oh, like,
Well, we used to be
that's
open on
kind of
Sundays,
crazy.
remember
Like,
those
so
days?
there's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm
So
happy we've gotten away from them, though.
it's like, I don't know. There's all different types of scales and ways you could do this business. So there's like,
Right.
I don't want anybody thinking, listening to this, that like we think the way we're doing it's the only way to do it. Is I guess what I'm
No,
saying.
I
Oh,
think
no.
the way we do it is what it accommodates our personal preference and then also accommodates our city, our community, and who we're trying to go after
Yeah.
when it comes down
I
to
mean,
it.
working on Sundays we used to do, and that was so our employees had options of what days they'd work, whether it's Tuesday through Sunday or Wednesday through Sunday or Monday through Friday. It was to give our employees an opportunity to work on a Sunday
Yeah.
if they can't work during the week.
Which I actually might be up to exploring that again if there's people that want to take that shift.
Yeah, I think
I just
we
think
had-
Sunday should be family day.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
But if we keep growing at the size we're growing, though, with people that we have, some people could care less when it comes down to it. But
Or even expand the hours, really, because like this is the compared to going and open another location somewhere. If we're so busy and so overwhelmed and booked out that we're losing customers, if we had enough people, like say we had 4 or 5 more installers and another crew to run the front, we could probably go from 7 in the morning till 7 or 8 at night and have 2 different shifts throughout the day. And now you don't have to take on the overhead of a whole nother location, and you're just producing more out of the same location. So we can always scale that way too. Like,
Or just in the summertime when
Yeah.
it starts, when
Yeah.
cars really start ramping
yeah,
up in the
you
summertime.
can even have those 2 crews overlap in the middle of the day when it's the peak. And like,
well, the
Right.
transition period.
yeah.
No, that'd make more sense to me in my mind. But
Yeah.
well, I have as much as you. I think that you were all stressed about this. You haven't realized that an hour has already pretty much passed.
Wow.
So, figure that'd be a good spot to kind of wrap it up. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're nervous, Nelly, about this.
Do you have any kind of
Hey.
tips or advice for anybody out there who might find themselves in this scenario you were in early on with just
Stick
you
with
and
it.
dad and your kids? And was there anything specifically that was like the thing that stood out to you of why you were able to push through and make it? Or
Just stick with it. I mean, we stuck with it because we had a family to provide for. When we moved out here from California, that was the scariest thing ever. Moving to a town that we didn't know anybody, there was no family here. It was just me and dad starting to relocate our business because we already had it in California. You just got to stick with it.
I think that's the thing that pushed me to like honestly want to go join the military and get out and go do my own thing was like seeing you guys do that. Like that's a big deal. Like take the whole family and move to a new city.
I cried
and-
for the first year
Yeah. Oh.
because I didn't have anybody. There was just me, dad, and you 3. That was it.
Yeah.
So,
So
but it
it's-
was worth it. definitely worth it.
Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being such an amazing mom. I'm very grateful for the life that we have right now, and for the business that we have, and the freedom you give us to run it, and the patience that you give us, because I know it still stresses you out a lot. But
Yep, I'm still
I mean, we had this
stressful.
conversation with Dad that, like, he was saying that he's not stressed about the business anymore, and that, like, really hit hard. Like, that's the part of that conversation with him that, like, had to, like, hold back tears, because, like, that's my main goal right now. Like, I don't want you guys to have to worry about the business anymore, because I know how much you worried about it while we were children. And if we can do that, like, mission accomplished.
I would agree. That is, yep.
Well, I appreciate you guys running the business past Dad's stroke. I mean, I know that was huge for both of you. It's taken out of your family time. So
You know,
He was prepping us for it, though, in my
as
mind.
crazy as it was, it didn't even seem like, it was just like, oh,
I
just
think
another day.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest thing for me. I've already made this statement once. Hardest thing for me was not having, like, I'm the last person that gets called. Like, my last call I'd always call Dad.
Right.
Like, I'd always run something by him, and you'd usually agree with everything. Like, I'd say something, I have a opinion on something, and he'd be like, okay, yeah, good. But I'd always run it by him, and like not having that ripped away from me, that was hard for the first couple of weeks, and then it just kind of became business as usual. But it definitely highlighted how much he was prepping us to take over, because when it did come down to any situation that did pop up, we were able to handle it in
Right.
one way or another. And when that comes down to is just the education and the training he put into us that we didn't realize was happening at the time. And, you know, it's like all the life lessons and how certain things were handled. Like, it might not have been like, here, I'm teaching you this. It was we learned by just example, by watching him operate, watching him how he ran the business, how he went after customers and like,
Yeah, sales calls.
yeah, like how he was the backbone of the company. Like, he was leading by example. And, you know, he didn't have to say anything to us. We just watched, and thankfully, you guys were able to get us to focus in on the important things. So after the 2 weeks, it just became like, oh, we've already been kind of doing this, and like, all right, we're good. We can do this. So,
well, we're grateful that we had you guys.
well, thank you for
Business.
building something for us to continue.